Have you ever found it strange that many people start investing very early, read lots of finance books, and even buy stocks and crypto far in advance, yet their finances still never really improve? Meanwhile, there are people who only do a few very basic things, but after 10 to 15 years, they end up with the kind of savings and investment accounts that others dream of. The difference is not what you invest in. It lies in the order in which you do things with your money. A lot of people are investing, but they are investing in the wrong order. They buy stocks that may only grow by a few percent while still carrying credit card debt at 20% interest. They try to invest for the long term, but they do not have an emergency fund for unexpected situations. If an emergency happens, they have to sell their assets, and those assets may go up in value just a few months after they sell. And they spend first, then only think about saving if there is anything left. In this video, we are going to talk about the smart financial order that many millionaires have quietly followed throughout their lives. Pay off high interest debt first, build an emergency fund, automate consistent investing, and only spend after your financial future has been protected. It sounds very simple, but if you follow this order correctly for many years, it can completely change your financial life. I'm Sophia. I worked for many years in banking, spent a lot of time reading books and thinking about money and personal finance, and I noticed that many people invested in the wrong order, which led to their wealth not growing the way they hoped. If you are someone who truly wants to understand the right order for investing your money wisely, instead of throwing money into whatever sounds attractive, highly profitable, or like a quick way to get rich, then hit subscribe and like this video if it helps you avoid a few expensive mistakes. There is one thing that may shock you. According to recent data, 1/3 of Americans do not even have an emergency fund. The median amount Americans have set aside for emergencies is $500. The truth is that there is an optimal order for investing money, and it can save you tens of thousands of dollars, even hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime, while clearly accelerating your path to wealth. But most people ignore this order because it does not provide the same dopamine rush as chasing hot stocks or trying to time the market bottom to get rich in a few days. What happens if you invest in the wrong order? If you invest in the wrong order, the consequences usually do not show up immediately, but they quietly ruin your entire financial plan. First, debt interest can eat up all of your investment returns. For example, you are trying to invest with an 8% annual return, but you are carrying credit card debt at 18 to 22%. That is like trying to pour water into a bucket, while the bottom of the bucket has a hole in it. No matter how good your investment is, mathematically, you are still losing. Second, not having an emergency fund can force you to sell investments at the worst possible moment. If you lose your job, get sick, or face an unexpected emergency, you may be forced to sell stocks or withdraw investment money exactly when the market is crashing. That causes you to lose money and also lose long-term growth opportunities. Third, investing before controlling your spending means you will not be able to keep it up for long. Many people start investing very enthusiastically in the first few months, but because their spending is not under control, they later have to stop. And inconsistent investing rarely creates major results. Fourth, consuming before investing slows down the process of building wealth. If every month you spend all of your income first and only think about investing whatever is left over, then usually there will be nothing left to invest. So in personal finance, it is not only important what you invest in, it is also important when you do it in your financial journey. Sometimes you simply need to get the order right. Pay off debt, then build an emergency fund, then invest consistently, then upgrade your lifestyle. That order is exactly what has helped many people quietly build wealth over many years. Step 1. Eliminate high-interest debt before investing in any asset. Before you think about investing in stocks, index funds, or any other asset, the first thing you should do is pay off high interest debt, especially credit card debt. The reason is very simple. Credit card interest rates are usually around 18% to 25% per year, while the average return of many long term investments is only about 7% to 10% per year. That means if you are both investing and carrying credit card debt, then mathematically, you are losing money. For example, if you owe $5,000 on a credit card at around 20% annual interest, the interest alone could reach $1,000 per year if you do not pay it down quickly. Meanwhile, if you invest $5,000 with an 8% return, you would earn only about $400. That means you are losing $1,000 while earning only $400, a math problem that is almost impossible to win. So, paying off high interest debt is actually like making an investment with a guaranteed 18% to 25% return with almost no risk. Some effective ways to pay off debt faster include the snowball method. Pay off the smallest debt first to build momentum, then roll all your extra money into the next debt. The avalanche method. Focus on paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first to reduce the total interest paid. Temporary spending cuts. Reduce unnecessary expenses like dining out, shopping, and subscription services you barely use, and redirect that money toward debt repayment. Increase short term income. Work extra hours, sell unused items, or take freelance jobs to speed up the process. Once your high interest debts are gone, you move into the next phase of your financial journey with a huge advantage. All of your money can finally start working for you instead of working for the bank. Step 2. Build an emergency fund. After paying off high interest debt, the next step before investing is to build an emergency fund. This is money set aside specifically for unexpected situations in life, such as losing your job, illness, car repairs, home repairs, or sudden medical expenses. An emergency fund plays a very important role. It protects your investments, because when life goes wrong, the worst part is not that you need money. It is that you may have to sell investments exactly when the market is down. Normally, an emergency fund should cover about 3 to 6 months of living expenses. For example, if you need about $3,000 per month for rent, food, transportation, and other expenses, then your emergency fund should be around $9,000 to $18,000. Imagine this situation. You have invested $20,000 in the stock market, but suddenly your company lays people off and you lose your job. At the same time, the market is down about 25%. This situation is very realistic. Why? Because during an economic crisis, the risk of unemployment is very high, and assets losing 20% to 50% in just a few days or a few months is very possible. If you do not have an emergency fund, you may be forced to sell your investment portfolio to cover living expenses. That $20,000 may now be worth only $15,000 or even just $10,000. You're not only selling your assets at a low price, but also losing the chance to benefit when the market recovers later. On the other hand, if you have an emergency fund that can support you for a few months, you can leave your investments untouched, wait for the market to recover, and continue your long-term financial plan. So, an emergency fund is not money that is just sitting there doing nothing. It is actually a layer of financial protection that keeps you from having to destroy your entire investment strategy just because of an unexpected event in life. Step 3. Take advantage of employer match. After paying off high interest debt and building an emergency fund, the next step in the smart financial order is to take advantage of employer match if your company offers it. Employer match is when your company contributes extra money to your retirement account, usually through programs like a 401k in the United States. Put simply, if you put money into your retirement fund, your company adds some money to it as well. For example, many companies have a policy like 100% match on the first 5% of your income. This means that if you earn $60,000 a year and contribute 5% of your salary, $3,000, to your retirement fund, your company will also contribute another $3,000. That means in just 1 year, your account will have $6,000, and half of it is free money from your employer. So ignoring employer match is like refusing to accept part of your salary. To maximize employer match, you can follow a few simple principles. Contribute at least enough to receive the full employer match. If your company matches 5%, try to contribute at least 5%. Set up automatic payroll deductions. When money is taken out automatically before you spend it, it is much easier to stay disciplined. Invest in low-cost funds, such as index funds inside your 401k, to maximize long-term returns. Employer match is often considered one of the best investments you can make because from day one, you receive an almost 100% immediate return from your employer's contribution. Only after you fully maximize employer match should you move on to the next stage of building wealth: consistent long-term investing in funds and income-producing assets. Step 4. Take advantage of tax-optimized zones. After taking full advantage of employer match, the next step in smart investing is to invest in accounts with tax advantages, which you can think of as tax-optimized zones. This matters because taxes can quietly eat away at your investment returns for years. If two people invest the same way for 20 to 30 years, but one pays taxes every year while the other gets tax deferral or tax-free growth, the final results can be dramatically different. In the United States, there are several accounts designed to help you optimize taxes when investing, such as 401k. Money is invested before income tax is applied, and you only pay taxes when you withdraw it in retirement. Roth IRA. You pay taxes up front, but later your investments and gains can be withdrawn tax-free. HSA, Health Savings Account. One of the most powerful accounts because it offers a tax deduction when you contribute, tax-free growth while invested, and tax-free withdrawals if used for qualified medical expenses. For example, if you invest $6,000 per year for 30 years at an average return of 8%, that amount could grow to more than $700,000. But if that investment is taxed continuously along the way, the final amount could be reduced by hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you can use an HSA, this is an especially great idea. The HSA may be the most overlooked investment tool in America, but it has 3 tax advantages. 1. Contributions are tax deductible, like a traditional IRA. 2. Investments grow tax-free. 3. Withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are completely tax-free, even in retirement. That is why, before investing in a regular brokerage account, many financially experienced people prioritize fully using tax-optimized accounts first. In other words, they do not only care about what they invest in, but also where they invest so they can keep the most money after taxes. Over the long term, using these tax-optimized zones correctly can help your investments grow much faster without requiring you to take on more risk. Step 5. Invest in taxable assets. After you have fully used all your tax-advantaged accounts, the next step is to invest in taxable accounts, usually called a taxable brokerage account. This is where you can invest in many kinds of assets such as stocks, index funds, ETFs, bonds, or real estate. But unlike retirement accounts, the profits here are usually taxable. For example, suppose you buy $10,000 worth of a company's stock. After a few years, the stock rises in value and you sell it for $15,000. That means you made a $5,000 profit. That profit is called a capital gain, and it usually has to be taxed. If you hold the stock for less than 1 year, the profit may be taxed as ordinary income, which can be quite high depending on your income level. But if you hold the stock for more than 1 year, the profit is usually classified as a long-term capital gain. And tax rates in the US are usually lower, around 0%, 15%, or 20%, depending on your income. In the example above, if you sell the stock after many years and owe 15% tax, then on the $5,000 gain, you would pay about $750 in taxes. In addition, some dividends paid by stocks or funds each year may also be taxable. Although taxable accounts do not have as many tax advantages as a 401k or Roth IRA, they do offer one major advantage: flexibility. You can withdraw money at any time without having to wait until retirement age. So, after going through the earlier steps, many people use taxable investment accounts as a place to continue building long term wealth while keeping their money invested and growing over time. A lot of people, when they start their financial journey, jump straight to step 5, opening an investment account and buying stocks, ETFs, or some other asset. That is not wrong at all. Investing is always better than not investing. But the problem is, if you skip the first 4 steps, you may be making your financial journey much harder and much more expensive. You may be investing while still carrying credit card debt at 20% interest. You may be forced to sell assets while the market is down just because you have no emergency fund. You may be missing out on free money from your company's employer match. And you may also be paying more taxes than necessary if you do not use tax-optimized accounts. On the surface, everyone is investing. But the order in which you build your financial foundation is what determines your results after 10 or 20 years. So if you want your money to grow sustainably, remember this simple order: pay off high-interest debt, build an emergency fund, take advantage of employer match, invest in tax-optimized accounts, and only then invest in taxable assets. It sounds very basic, but these simple steps are exactly how many people quietly build wealth over many years instead of constantly chasing money. These are the lessons I have drawn from my own journey. I'm Sophia, and I hope I can help guide you on your path to success. I may have missed something, so I look forward to your comments and suggestions so we can all improve together. The content of this video is for reference and educational sharing only and is not financial or investment advice. Viewers are responsible for their own financial decisions. If you found this video helpful, please hit like and subscribe to motivate me to create more content.